August the 14th. We were in executive session for attorney-client privilege. We are now out and we will begin the board meeting. Trustees, call to order. Ms. Hilton, may we have a roll call?
Here.
President Mitchell.
Present.
Trustee Lazarus.
Here.
Trustee Basquet. Trustee Lightfoot.
Here.
Trustee Kelly.
Here.
All right. Now I'd like to introduce our non-voting member at the table, Dr. Denise Swift. Do we have a flag in here?
We don't, we can take it off.
Oh, we'll probably do it. Yeah. Would you mind listening to the pledge? Okay. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, trustees, you have the agenda before you. Are there any amendments to the agenda? And we have the motion for the agenda.
So moved.
Trustee Johnson moves. Do we have a second? Second. Trustee Lazarus seconds. We have a roll call, please.
Trustee Gaynor.
Yes.
Trustee Johnson.
Yes.
President Mitchell.
Yes.
Trustee Lazarus.
Yes.
Trustee Basquet.
Yes.
Trustee Lightfoot.
Yes.
Trustee Kelly.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Ms. Hilton, do we have anyone signed up for public commentary tonight?
Yes, ma'am. We have one. Mr. Mark Corey, please.
All right. Before public commentary, I just like when we're speaking, during public commentary at a board members speaking, speakers should take into account the rules of common courtesy and refrain from making personal attacks against employees, volunteers, students, parents, and/or community members. If comments constitute a complaint against an employee, the employee has the right to request a closed meeting. Speakers are encouraged to present complaints about a specific employee or student through the proper channels established under the board policy before requesting board consideration. At no time should a speaker reference a specific individual by name when speaking on an issue of concern involving personnel or student matters. Thank you.
Do I have a clock here? This was my permit.
Yes, we're working on it.
I'm going to use my phone. Okay, whenever you're ready.
I'm here to discuss the issue of the federal lawsuit involving Ms. Blick, and just want to mention that the amount of controversy that it's caused and what effect this may have on the educational mission of the school system, especially the students of Lawton. What concerns me the most is when I read the allegations of the complaint, and I heard some of the statements that were released in the press, that there was an issue regarding some alleged either fraud or defalcation of funds or something. And what concerns me the most about that is the fact that the district had some reason to believe at the district level that there had been some kind of offense that may have been committed, but nobody told the police until months later. I think that's a very serious issue, and I think this is why I believe this is going on to where it's made international news, and the London Daily Mirror, the Washington Post that's covering this. And I think there needs to be more transparency on what's happening here. And I really believe that it's a matter of serious concern when the students and the parents are concerned about their safety because of some of the issues raised, issues of racial tension that I think that need to be addressed. I think the people that work in the district that are the administration need to come forward and need to be more transparent about what has occurred here. I believe that this case that goes on in the federal court system is likely to cost the city or cost the district probably hundreds of thousands of legal fees. I think there needs to be some kind of efforts by the district to gauge some kind of ultimate dispute resolution, try to get this resolved and behind the district, because I believe it's not in the best interest of the public, the students, or anyone else to have this dragged out in the media the way it has been. It's simply a situation where it's going to cause a lot of tension in the future. I believe that we should have transparency in this situation as much as possible with respect to the board, with respect to administration. The allegations concerning the most are the alleged criminal allegations that have been only recently reported to police. I've seen recently in Arbor, we had two situations where two courts had administrative personnel convicted of embezzlement. They were turned over to the police and they were convicted. So the question is, why was this turnover earlier from law enforcement? I mean, if there is some type of allegation that would cause belief, it should be turned over immediately. The allegations in the complaint are very disturbing, and I think they need to be looked into in a neutral type of basis. Until we have that type of situation, I believe it's going to erode public confidence in the district's operation. And I don't want to see that. I want to see what's best for the students and the parents. Thank you.
Dr. Swift, are there any items for clarification? Trustees, we have one item on the agenda tonight. It's for the approval of an administrative contract. Dr. Swift.
Thank you, Madam President and trustees. I've spoken with each of you individually about this matter, and it is my honor to bring to you this evening the recommendation for Ms. Marianne Fedician to be the Executive Director of Student Intervention and Support Services. I want to begin by expressing my gratitude to all of the staff members, teachers, special ed team members, and the 3 APAC parents who served on the interview committees. I appreciate folks giving up their time during the summer to come in and be a part of a robust process. Ms. Fedician was the unqualified recommendation from those committees, and we're bringing her forward as an executive director. Trustees, you have reviewed the contract. It is absolutely in keeping with the other contracts at the same level, so there's no change or difference there. And so with that, Madam President, I am ready to receive questions or however we might proceed.
Trustees, are there any questions on this item? Okay, we have a motion. Trustee Johnson moves, we have a second. Trustee Gainer seconds. May we have a roll call?
Trustee
I'm
Gainer?
sorry. I'm sorry. May we have discussion, if any? Trustee Basket and Trustee Lightfoot.
Dr. Swift, I am very impressed with Dr. Fedician's credentials. Could you speak to how many applications we received? And you explained a little bit about the process, including parents, but is there anything more you want us to know?
So I'm happy to. Ms. Lightford, check my work. 26 applicants. The first group, we reviewed about 6 that were, of the caliber, had 3 interviews on the first round, and then moved into the second round. I really appreciate, and I should always say this, I appreciate everyone who reached out and applied. Trustees, we did a national search, but finding someone with a level of experience in special education, there just aren't a lot of those around. So I really appreciate everyone who applied, and the selection is Ms. Fedician.
And she will start.
She will start as soon as the board has voted. I'm supposed to call her later this evening, but she's not reported to the district, of course, until after this.
So she can start as early as tomorrow.
She could as early as tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Swift, you mentioned her specialties. I wanted to say for public information, just because there weren't necessarily questions at the table, it did not mean that we had not had extensive conversations. In our one-on-ones, we had a lot of questions, and you did a good job of sharing what those answers would be. One of the things you shared with me during our time was, again, the difficulty in finding those specialties you need in special ed. What are some of those things that we see are needed? And more specifically, what do we need? I know nationally there's need for special ed specialists. But with that, in addition, what is it we see we need, we want, and we feel like we have in this particular candidate?
Thank you. We looked at 6 areas that our team and the committees came up with that they were evaluating on. I think what the trustees are well aware of, and I'm very grateful to have APAC representation here this evening. What we've been working on for about 18 months now is a full external review and internal review of how we administrate, how we carry out, how we provide services in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Out of that review, which the trustees have seen, there were several patterns that emerged. And so we waited to post this position so that we could hire based on what that report tells us that we're looking for. And so what we were looking for was a level of leadership that could affect change, not affect change by oneself, but affect change engaging with our APAC parents, with our parents of special needs students, with our staff. We were looking for a level of leadership. You know, the Ann Arbor Public Schools is responsible for delivering special education services to every child enrolled in our schools, but also to all of the private and charters to every special needs child from birth to age 26. We're responsible for that. So this person has to administrate really a very wide and very complex operation. So we were looking for someone with that experience, and this physician has had experience in large districts and in very complex districts, in diverse districts. She's now in a district where her work is particularly with high-impact students, which we also have in the district. One of the patterns in the report is communication, and so we were looking for that as well. A third area is that ability to be responsive, to get back to staff, to support staff, to make sure that teachers have what they need. Part of the report, as you know, shares that there are times in our operation where the work might be delayed, waiting on a testing protocol or waiting on something in the system to be provided. So we want leadership that can affect improvement so that folks have the barriers removed out of their way in order to achieve the work with students. We were looking also for expertise around change, but also around collaboration. We had both leadership of the EA and leadership of Quad A on the committee, and they in particular were looking for someone who would wrap teachers and special ed team members into the work, and someone who would be in contact regularly with principals, which many times there's a lot of work going on, and some groups don't feel like they get regular communication, so that works back to the communication. So those were the 5 or 6 key areas that we were looking for, and Ms. Fedition hit on all of those.
Thank you so much. The last question I have is, we have experienced a great deal of deaths amongst our students.
Yes.
Compared to the history of our district.
Yeah.
Whether it's suicide, whether it's accident.
Yes.
Social emotional trauma.
Yes.
We know is just off the charts. Did you get a sense that she is comfortable and aware of emerging challenges with not only our students, because even with the trauma we have, our students are still quote privileged.
Yes.
But we're bringing on different things than we've seen before. So are we comfortable that
She raised it without being asked directly, and some of those things we have on our list, we don't necessarily ask the question directly because any person would answer it, you know, with the textbook answer, but she raised it in her interview, is that social, emotional, and trauma impact for students. She also raised, I thought was very insightful, the cultural connections that sometimes play into how students feel and how parents feel about getting support with special needs and closing those achievement gaps. Now, it was very impressive. Again, we didn't ask that directly, but we were looking for it, and it was there.
Trustee Gainer.
Questions. First, this independent review of the SASS, do you have an idea of when this will be released to the district?
So we've shared the last thing after we went to planning in May or whenever we were at planning last, I can't remember, Trustee Johnson, but sometime recently, was that we were going back to our stakeholder groups. So we've been with our APAC exec board, we've been with principals, we were recently, not too long ago, with our teacher group. So we are now ready to finalize that and bring it out in the way that you all would want for it to come out.
It'll be this fall.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes. And then what we want to deliver, and this petition expressed great enthusiasm for this, is we want that in the action plan to come right with it. Because folks have been patiently been waiting a long time, and I think everybody wants to just get some action, get some things done. So.
Yeah, and just to show that we've been doing our monitoring
Sure.
diligence, basically a Google search process is thorough, independent of us. And I will say that Ms. Petition's academic background or experience looks exemplary. Very impressed by that. But the Google search does show, in all irony, we discussed this, that she filed a lawsuit last fall against her district. Can you speak to that a little bit? I just don't want it to come hitting to us, without it coming up.
Thank you. I appreciate the one statement I would make on that is, just like we do with all hires, we conducted our due diligence. We spoke with the candidate. We felt like the answers were sincere and that the answers she gave aligned with the facts that we could confirm in our due diligence.
Yeah, okay.
We felt satisfied.
Yeah, no, the irony being that she sued for racial discrimination, and it's available online, this lawsuit's pending, but not the best of timing of this. But yeah, again, I don't see anything that would disqualify her. It was for a minimum amount and to just cost if the charges seem to fail.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Kelly, anything?
President Mitchell, I have some questions.
Yep, go right ahead.
So, everyone, but I would like to just make comments that Ms. Petition's resume is just a master class in how to write a good resume. I have questions about her effectiveness and her ability with transforming master transformative career. Again, when I look at her resume, she has specific numbers for the use of cognitive behavioral support, specific numbers for the improved placement for students in least restrictive environments, specific numbers for the number of fewer arrests of students, specific numbers for increased compliance with IDEA indicators. And it was such a pleasure to read through that because I didn't have to wonder. I didn't have to wonder if she was a good writer, or what. I saw the numbers there on the paper, and I just really appreciated that, and I'm really excited to have her join this team after the vote tonight, and so to bring in this new era, this plus the work of the Hanover team to give us the direction forward is, I think, something that we desperately need in this district, and I'm really encouraged. So thank you, Dr. Swift, for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Trustee Kelly, and I should have mentioned that in response to Trustee Lightfoot's good question. I shared with several of you on our one-on-ones that all 10 of us at the table on that second set of interviews expressed that we learned something about our special ed data that we didn't already know from her presentation. So I'm always delighted when folks can come in and add value right during the interview. So that doesn't always happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Ms. Hilton, may we have a roll call?
Trustee Gainer.
Yes.
Trustee Johnson.
Yes.
President Mitchell.
Yes.
Trustee Lazarus.
Yes.
Trustee Basquette.
Yes.
Trustee Lightfoot.
Yes.
Trustee Kelly.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous.
All right, thank you. Are there any other items or concerns before we adjourn? Yeah, we're gonna go into another executive session
For
for,
the purpose of discussion of student safety.
for the purpose of discussion of student safety.
Dave is going to correct the wording.
Thank you.
Mr. Collins.
Let's get it right.
I should have had that in front of me, I apologize.
So just as a quick update, as of March, there's been a change in the Open Meetings Act. There is now an exception to allow boards of education to meet in the closed session. It's 15.268 for a school board to consider security planning to address threats or prevent potential threats to the safety of the students and staff. So that's why the board would be moving into closed session.
Did you get that, Ms. Helton?
Tape somewhere.
Yeah, we
Got it on
can, we
tape.
can take care of it. It's-
All right, may we have a motion? Trustee Basket moves. Second.
I'll move.
Trustee Kelly
I'll
seconds.
second.
Thank you. And then once you finishes typing that all in, we'll, I don't know.
At this moment, I have motion to meet in closed session on August 14, 2019, at Forsyth Middle School for purposes of school safety. And I will put in the legal information
All the numbers, yes.
as soon as I walk out.
Okay. Trustee Basket moved, trustee Kelly seconded. May we have a roll call?
So Basket and Kelly,
Yes.
one more. Trustee Gaynor?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
President Mitchell?
Yes.
Trustee Lazarus?
Yes.
Trustee Basket? Trustee Lightfoot? Trustee Kelly?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous.
All right.
So we are adjourning open session at 6:11 PM.
Yep, thank you. Members of the